One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Hey, everybody in Whitecaps world. Boys, I can't even try to be impressive there. Yeah, let's just get into it. You're listening to There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show. We are broadcasting live from the CITR FM studios at the University of British Columbia on the unceded Musqueam territory. If you're listening to the podcast, this is episode 349. My name is Steve Hander.
I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And I'm Gideon Hill.
What a week to return to the show. We had last week off because of Canada Day. Also some stuff going on with Michael. We'll talk about that later. Seemed like the Whitecaps were playing through an aftershock on that pitch. There's been earthquakes in California last week.
Yeah.
It seemed like the Whitecaps didn't recover from theirs. Because they were there for one of them, I think.
It was pretty terrible.
Yeah, it was horrendous. What else can you say about it? 6-1. 6-1 loss to the league-leading LAFC. Not a great way to...
The Whitecaps themselves like to mention that in the, the description of the loss.
Yeah. The biggest question really is after that performance is Ali Adnan and his agent looking for an out clause in their contract.
It's just one game, right?
It's just one game, but it was pretty bad. We would have been used to it last year because it happened quite often. Last year, this is the first time they lost.
Year, no, it happened like twice, right?
2 or 3 times.
SKC game.
No, I'm
sure.
just not maybe not a 5-goal loss, but they lost by 2 goals or 3 goals or 4 goals. It was always losing by like multiple goals. This will be a shorter show this week because normally we do good, bad, and ugly, and I think there's nothing really to talk about the good or the bad, and maybe a little bit here and there, but mostly it's gonna be ugly.
It was all ugly, yeah.
Let's talk about what were you guys' first impressions of the game itself? Like, obviously, it's not very good impressions, but what were they?
Well, I didn't. Did you watch it? I didn't watch it live, so
yeah,
I feel great. I feel grateful for that.
Yeah, but you had to watch it knowing what the result was and seeing all this that was happening.
Yeah, that makes it easier, though.
Is it? Oh, for me, it would have been horrendous.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't invested. I wasn't.
Yeah, it's true.
I didn't care as much. No, it was. Yeah, so I was at a function and I got a message from someone, and they didn't mention the score. I just knew. I knew it was bad.
Just expletives.
No, just disappointment, apathy, and so I looked things up and I saw 6-1.
Yeah, I like Zach mentioned, I was watching the game live, but maybe didn't prefer to watch it live considering the result. But I think it's one of those things where you don't know what's going to happen. I think Whitecaps had a good first few minutes, and then after the rain a goal, they're lucky to get a goal, but just kind of speaks for itself, tailed off a little bit, and a couple of mistakes at the back post off set pieces really cost them.
Yeah, the Reina goal was really lucky.
Yeah. It was a good ball forward. If you watch it back, the ball forward, I think from Levi's or Arise was a good idea to get him behind, but I don't know what Cisniega's doing there, and Jakovic as well.
Yeah, the ball was fine.
Jakovic was slowing up because he thought the goalie was coming for it. Clearly there, but I don't know what Cisniega shouldn't have been going for. He should have not given that impression that he was going to be able to get there.
I've seen that a couple times this year with the rain. I think he scored one like that in Chicago, so he's been lucky with his finishes this season.
But his performance out of the majority of Whitecaps, I'd say maybe 2 of them really performed well, and that Reyna was definitely one of them. He wasn't giving up even at, down 4 goals or 5 goals.
So if there was 2, Reyna would have to have been second because Maxime had to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The first half alone, he made like so many huge saves.
It seemed like he and Mark Anthony had a little thing going on because he denied him point blank a couple times. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, he had like a couple weeks off or whatever, 3 weeks off from actual gameplay, so he really got his money's worth in that game. I think he made 9 saves. Let's get to, like we said, at least the first 5 minutes were pretty good. Was there any belief at that point, or is it scary that the goal came too early? Like a lot of people on Twitter said that was too early for the Russell Beresford mentioned that that's way too early to score.
No, I think I said this. I think I said this to you, Steve. For me, I felt a little bit like LA was the GOATs, LAFC. They were. It felt like they really wanted to stick it to the Whitecaps after the game here.
Yeah,
like you remember how mad Bob Bradley was after that game.
Yeah,
how much they hated the turf.
Yeah,
how much they said the turf. The quality of the turf degenerated over the years since they had played here last, and there was so much frustration from them after that game. It felt like they really set out to prove a point, to really lay a beating on the Whitecaps.
Well, I don't know if that game set them off, but they kind of went on the run where they've just been so dominant. I think playing the Whitecaps really kind of didn't kickstart them, but they kept what they've been playing well and kind of just stuck it to the Caps, as Zach mentioned. And scoring 11 goals in 2 games is a very good feat, I think.
Yeah, establishing themselves as the kind of immortal. They're not going to be immortals, but they're invincible is the term when you're undefeated, right, or something like that. That's what Arsenal was called. But they are like one of the top teams.
Yeah, that was the 11 goals. It was 5-0.
5-1.
5-1
against SKC.
Away. On the Wednesday?
Yes. No, it was Thursday, wasn't it? It was like 3 days in between games. They played Thursday.
It would have been Wednesday.
It would have been Wednesday.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Because the game was Saturday.
Yeah.
So an interesting note about that. Just a small thing that they did take a charter plane back from Kansas City to LA. And the only reason I know that is because I appreciate Jordan Harvey and Stephen Beitasher, and I listened to their little podcast, which they made they recorded the entire thing
on the charter
plane back to LA.
It would, like we said before, Maxime Crepeau, if it would have been a lot worse, he made 9 saves, but eventually the own goal by Andy Rose got one by him, and then Diamande scored just before the half to put the Goat Zombies up by 1. At that point, the Whitecaps put out a tweet at halftime, still in it. Mark Anthony Kay must have seen that because a minute in, he scored a goal. And then deflected shot by Vela, 66 goal by Rossi, except this one actually went in. You know what I'm talking about, Zach, there. And an easy header by Vela, who basically just stood there. Rose tried to get to the ball, but Vela just stood there and just bopped it over everybody into the net. So that was basically it. Nothing really more to say about those goals.
No, and
but the thing is, some of those goals were lucky goals. But the thing is, Crepeau kept out the ones that should have gone in, it seemed like, except for the Mark Anthony Kay one and the Diamande one. But so there was the deflected shot, there was a shot off a crossbar. So there were lucky goals, but they thoroughly deserved those goals that they did get.
No, but Gideon said it too. Like, I think both the first 2 goals, even though they weren't being totally, they were being outplayed for sure then, but they weren't being hammered then. Both those goals were from really poor marking on set pieces.
Yeah.
Which the coaching staff must have just been going even crazy at that point.
Yeah.
That they couldn't get that right. You heard it in MDS after the game. Like,
we're going to hear about it right now.
How angry he was.
So, yeah, definitely he's not going to be saying that he deserved this one or they deserved a result out of this one. So let's hear from MDS after the LFC goal, interviewed by Mr. Whitecap.
Okay, obviously difficult result tonight. Just thoughts on the match overall.
Well, a game where we were dominated all game. LAFC was much stronger, better pressure, a lot of possession, grabbed us by the throat pretty much, and that's the reality of it. I think that the first 25 minutes when we weren't able to, when we didn't break as a team, as a unit, we got a goal in a counterattack situation. Then we're up, and then we concede 2 goals that usually we do a very good job at defending corner kicks, and 2 goals in corner kicks, 2-1 at half, and then we're down in the score, and we decide to open a little bit more. We take a center back off to put him in the midfield, because we know that Andy could play those 2 roles. Tried to get the tie, but I think Mark's goal was very early in the half, and then mentally it just became very difficult for us. I have to give credit for everything that LAFC did today, and the same way we deserve to win the game in Vancouver, they totally deserve to win the game today.
Was the approach to get them on the counter tonight?
We wanted to exploit situations with Lucas and Jordi in behind, but the problem is that we weren't able to get quality balls and get out of pressure in the right way, so everything became a little bit too direct. So look, it's a game to forget, because from A to Z, apart from a couple of spots defensively that we had in the first half, it was a game that was very unsuccessful for us.
Throughout the season, the team hasn't lost by more than 1 goal outside of 1. What do you tell the guys now after a defeat like tonight?
We lost a game. It was a game against a team that is by far, in my opinion, the best team in the league. A team that just won 5-1 in Kansas City. So we have to react. We have the opportunity now Wednesday in another competition that's important for us, and we'll be ready for it for sure.
How important is it to change it around and bring everything for Wednesday?
Very important. There's days like that. This is a day that everything is wrong. We're not in our game. We have a tough time. Also, credit to LAFC for their work and what they did against us. And when you're in a position like that, now you have to react. I think the guys are strong enough, and they're going to show up on Wednesday.
So that was Mark DeSantos there. Obviously very honest there with his opinion on the game, thoroughly dominated. Is there anything to take away from this one, or you just forget it, chalk it up to Voldemort getting his revenge for the first loss of the season? Anything there?
Oh, Steve. No, I think they're the best team in the league.
Yeah. It's just just coming in just trying to hold on as much as possible. And they did hold on for 35 minutes at least.
They have better players, Steve.
Yeah.
Remember last year when the Whitecaps went into Atlanta, I think they were leading at the time, and it was like a 4-1 game, something like that. So the Whitecaps, haven't played well against the top team in the league. Let's face it, I don't think anyone has this season. So,
they beat them.
They beat
earlier in the year.
And Colorado,
Colorado
beat them recently too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was in LA or
it was in Colorado.
Yeah, that was in Colorado. So they haven't lost at all at home. The thing is, you talk about they're the better team. Is there anybody that would be on the Whitecaps that would be able to make that team? The LAFC team? Maybe Ali Adnan. Other than that, maybe nobody else?
You choose him over Jordan Harvey?
Yeah, I would.
Or the other guy who played? Wow. You mean right now? Like on this form?
Exactly. Basically.
On this form, obviously not.
Yeah. So you can't expect them to do anything.
Oh, no, sorry. Maxime
Crépeau?
Yeah.
Definitely after that first goal. Was there a lack of courage in the way they played? Or were they right to be scared, basically, considering that LAFC had the potential to be potential to be the most dominant team in MLS? Like 11 goals, like we said before, in 4 days or whatever, within 4 days.
Yeah, and watching the game back, you've seen numerous times this year how Vela likes to play. He likes to cut down the right wing, cut in the left foot. On his goal, the first goal he scored that was deflected, the Whitecaps were right on him. They got in the way of his shot. Teams haven't really been able to do that, which is his goal was deflected, his first one. So in that sense, that was one takeaway I thought of the defending of the goals, that they knew Vela's game plan. They knew the way they like to play through him and Rossi at wide cutting in. So that was a positive for me, but other than that, it's hard to draw positives from a 6-1 defeat, Zach.
Yeah, Steve, it feels like they just didn't. They weren't able to execute anything, right? Or they weren't able to execute their game plan. You even heard the question there about, were you trying to get them on the counter, right? Like, it was like nothing was clicking, nothing was working, and I I don't know. I didn't totally feel like they totally like gave up as a team, like threw in the towel, but they were just. It was like a master class, right? Like they were just. I mean, at some point you have to talk. They're the best team in the league for a reason, right?
Well, I don't want to talk about it too much because Luke Wildman and Stephen Colville talked about it plenty during the game.
No, but they're spending so much more money on their squad. I mean, we'll talk about that when we talk about Ali Adnan.
Yeah.
But like, this is not rocket science.
Yeah, and Zach says they didn't give up, but you look at the first 2 goals, maybe poorly defended. The rest, like, just unlucky. A couple deflected goals. The one that went off Crepeau right to the head of Vela. Like, you can't do a whole lot about that. But
like, I know a lot of people are not happy, but I haven't heard too many people. I haven't heard really people being like
the vitriol. You haven't heard the vitriol.
Well, yeah, because I don't think people are like, oh, they're not trying. I mean, other than the sending off.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about. We talked about people trying and Reyna not giving up after even being down 4 goals. Freddie Montero came on as a sub, and I noticed that he looked like giving up like within minutes of being on the pitch. Like every time the ball got by him, he just looked up in the air and just like put his hands at and then he completely goes the other way and loses it, and basically does a sidekick into Mark Anthony Kaye and gets sent off. So at this point, is this guy checked out, or is the coffee shop not working out, and that's what is on his mind? Like, what's going on? Is it better to unload him right now and move on from him, and maybe bring somebody else in? Maybe that the Korean striker maybe might be a better option.
The other Inbom or the other Wong, whatever his name is, Uwe Joe.
We talked about it. Like I've talked about it in the past. Like this guy's a square peg in a round hole. He doesn't fit what Mark DeSantos wants in a club. Reyna, Venuto, those guys fit more. They might not be better finishers. Obviously, Reyna I think is on equal par. They might be better finishers, but they're better fits for the system.
No, I mean that tackle was shocking, and like I think Steve, I know you, and so I think you felt the same as me. I don't want to speak for you on this, Gideon, but like the fact that it was on Mark Anthony Kaye, and it was such a bad tackle.
Take out Vela if you want. Take out Rossi.
that made it worse. But no, it was just like it was bad. And then like even just his walking off and like throwing his tape like in on the pitch, like in the corner, and it was not good.
I think he's just frustrated. I mean, like, you have Reyna and Venuto, 2 wingers. Reyna's a creator, but you don't start a striker in a game where you could kind of pinpoint him to run at the defenders. And I see his frustration not starting, but coming on, you need to, make his spark, at least score a second goal rather than, get sent off. And you're the experienced guy coming from Europe. You've been in the team before. You've been with younger players in MLS before, playing with, another team from down south. So, he's been in these kind of games where you need to battle. You need to stick in there. You need to, win challenges, but not get a red card and a sending off, and just, the tip of the iceberg for the Whitecaps in this game.
They're currently second from the bottom from the West. I think Colorado is a point behind them or something like that. But they are only 7 points out of a playoff spot. If I'm not, or I could be wrong about that.
Yeah,
7. Okay. So, is there any hope at this point, or are the next 2 games the most important? And maybe then after that, we'll figure out if they have any hope.
It's MLS, so the next game is always the most important. But I mean, they're averaging a point a game, right?
Yeah, they need to really like increase that average in the next 2-3 games in order to even have a chance. Like people say, if you get on a run in the summer, do you really see these guys going on a run?
I think just the way they're talking, like whenever you hear Andy Rose talk about getting draws, how frustrated the team is. You want them to get wins. You always want to win a game. You don't want to draw or lose a game. But at this time of the year, the Whitecaps have maybe not played the best going into the summer or into the fall. This is the time where Mark Dos Santos really needs to take the team by the scruff of the neck. Maybe not hit the panic button on signings, but use the team he has, kind of jiggle the formation a little bit and put some players in that maybe, haven't played in those positions and try and muster something up offensively.
There's no panic button on signings.
Yeah,
that's why I said I don't want them to hit it.
Yeah. So we talked about signings. You talked about formation. They obviously signed Ali Adnan to a permanent transfer, like a contract for another 2 years after this one. Should they have stayed with that formation? The 3-5-2, because they changed it at halftime. They moved Andy Rose up into the midfield and brought those other 2 guys back. Should they have stayed with that formation in that first half, or would it have made a difference?
Sorry, you mean stayed with what they started with?
Yeah,
it was more like it was 5-3-2.
Yeah, it's 5-3-2, but should they even have done that? Should they have
stayed with that?
Yeah,
in the second half.
Yeah.
Well,
or started with it or stayed with it, whatever you want to say.
Well, they started 5-3-2.
That was fine then?
Well,
You were okay with that?
well, the first half I think was better than
The second half. But he went for, because he mentioned that he wanted to go for the win in the second half. Should they have gone for that?
Well, I think, Steve, the appropriate answer is if you're not going for the win, you're cheating.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think you're chasing the game, so you got to. It's understandable that you're going to do something. That you're, as a coach, you're going to try and make some alterations to at least straw level. But yeah, this obviously didn't work out, and retro, hindsight's 2020. So yeah, maybe staying 5-3-2 would have been better.
Yeah. Well,
or at least the beating would not have been so bad.
So like we said, Ali Adnan has signed. It's unexpected in the way that it's a defender being signed to a DP contract. The Whitecaps have it. Well, they did Kendall Waston, but that was almost like paperwork that they made him a DP. It wasn't really that much of a high salary. This seems like it was a transfer fee and a high salary as well.
We don't know the salary.
We don't know yet. We'll find out, I think, in September or something when they release the information again.
Yeah.
I heard it was a couple million, but that could, that's
salary?
just numbers. No, the overall
transfer fee.
Oh, the transfer fee.
Yeah.
The transfer fee.
but
Here's the thing.
salary.
They said it was multi-million dollars.
So that means two.
But correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't say it was a record signing for them, right?
No.
So therefore, we can deduce that it's between $2 million and approximately $2.7 million that they paid for Octavio Rivero.
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere in that region.
So we'll see what it is. But let's listen. Let's hear from Ali Adnan and Mark DeSantos on the signing. They talked to Vancouver media. I think it was on Thursday. I think it was. So let's hear from them at that point.
The last few weeks been like for you? Not knowing whether you're going to stay or are you going to stay? Like, what's that been like for you the last little while?
It's like it's not easy for me to choose which team I have to go. Everyone he think I'm gonna go back to Europe, but like after what I feeling here. And it's like what I see here is like he changed my mind, so I'm so happy to staying here. And then it's like what I see from you guys, everyone he knows, like from first day I am here, it's like really I feel home. So this is like the first things, like when I gonna think which team I have to choose, so I have to think about that, about the people here, they work here. Everyone here helped me a lot when I come here. It's like the team, he helped me a lot. Usually the staff is not easy to find the staff like Mark. So I'm so happy now because I signed with the team for more than 2 years here. So let's work together. I hope everything is going good.
Are you like surprised by how much you've kind of fallen in love with the city and the club here?
Yeah, usually I love the city now because from first month, like I don't know anything. I was in the hotel, so everything is difficult. But now it's like I know where I go. Like the city is beautiful. The people here, the Canadian people, I like them so much. It's like different people. It's like my fans here is like everyone he knows. Like I have a lot of fans here, a lot of Iraqi people here, so they follow me everywhere. So I like the city too much. So we are here. So I hope like I do my best with this team.
With how everything happened at Atlanta, how does it feel to come to a team that wants you, a city that has embraced you? That must feel pretty good.
Yeah, this is what I say before. Is like every interview I say the same. Is like it's not easy to find these people. Usually in football, guys. Like in football, you cannot find one coach like Mark. Let's be seriously. It's like he give me everything. Really, like he believed me a lot, and he don't know me. It's like he saw me just a little bit. So this guy, he believed me. It's like that's why it's like I work for him a lot, and I work for the team because when the team he believe you a lot, so you have to work more. Like now, everything in my mind is like easy. It's going easy, not like before. The last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's like very hard for me to choose. But now it's like I am happy to staying here, and everything. Well, now it's like I am here now. So.
When you came, you didn't expect to be here long, but it changed for you. Do you remember when that changed for you and what changed for you that made you think Vancouver was somewhere you could stay?
Yeah, if we talk about football, yes, from first day they changed a lot. I told you the people here, they helped me a lot. So, and then after with the times, like I know people in Vancouver, so I have friends now. I have like a lot of friends here in Vancouver, so it's not easy to leave them now. And everyone he knows, like, we are Arabic people, like, we are different people, so I am happy to staying here, really. I love the city, I love the team. So that's why I have to do all my best. I have to work very hard because now we need to go more up with the team.
What have the last few weeks been like for you? I know you were getting asked every day just in terms of getting this deal done with Ali Adnan.
It was one of the moving parts of what we want to do. We always said that at this phase, I think that there's a lot of things that we have to build in the club when it comes to our recruitment type and process. And we didn't want to sign guys just to sign guys. We wanted to make sure that from now on we think very well about who we bring in and how we develop the squad going forward. Not getting blurred on only 2019, but also how do we want to look in the future. Ali is another piece of a back four that is young, right, with the age when you see Ali, Daniel Henry, Derek, Eric, Max, so many of these players, Jake, being at a great age, and it secures you what you want to do in the next 2-3 years. So he's an important piece of what we're building here.
Well, it seems like he's kind of found a home here. What have your conversations been like with him through this process?
It's every day, it's a day-to-day thing that was built slowly. He told me that in the first month. He's an honest guy. That's what I like. He's raw. He tells you how it is. And he came the first month with the intention, look, I'm going to kind of use this club to get games, to grow, and to get back to the European market, And he says that after a month, 2 months, he started to think about, wait a minute, maybe this is a place that is good for me, What Ali understood, in my opinion, is that, how can I put it, that life is more important than football. He understood that.
Do you remember when that exactly happened and when you got the sense that he might be changing his mind about his future?
Yeah, me, I always thought about I'm bringing Ali for him to stay. But then I knew it was a long shot. But I always thought the only way you have a chance is by him being here. So it was never in my mind to have Ali leave in the middle of the year, but I was prepared if that would to be happen. We had other options, but we wanted to keep Ali. So it kind of began in the day he arrived, and then slowly, we always wanted to give him a break, not speak much about it, let him enjoy the environment, let him enjoy what the MLS is about, what the Whitecaps are about, and then grow from there. So it's not like one day I woke up and said, hey, we want Ali to stay. This is a process that slowly started to get built. Then there was a lot of moving pieces, way too many, a new GM at Udinese, new coach at Udinese. What would they decide? Can we buy him? The commitment of our owners on doing things, and I think it proves that our owners have a good concern and they realize what the fans are and what they want, and this is a move that proves that we want to do things but in the right way. It doesn't mean that now we're going to press the green button all over. We know our needs very, very well. There are sectors where we need to be better, but we can't do everything fast, and we're aware of that, and I think Ali proves one point that we want to make.
So Ali Adnan there, you have questions about his age, Zach.
Well,
Do we know?
I mean, okay, obviously, there's some people are questioning a generation of Iraqi players' ages or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
A group of Iraqi players' ages. So we were just talking, has anyone answered that question?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Nobody's even asked it at this point. So
I'm sure people have asked it, Steve.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about publicly. Nobody's asked it publicly.
Well, of course they're not going to ask it publicly. No. They don't want to get their credentials revoked or whatever.
I didn't come in here tonight to play Price is Right. So.
Now, obviously, he signed, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. No, Thursday or Friday. I can't remember.
Thursday.
Still confused in the week. How confused are the casual soccer fans seeing that he played in Seattle, signs permanently the next week, but is ineligible to play against LAFC because of paperwork. I think July 9th it's going to clear
July
and everything.
9th, the window opens.
So it's kind of weird that way. I'm just saying for us, we know that. But I'm saying the average fans going, why didn't Ali play? Just sign for us.
It wasn't in the original article the Whitecaps posted, but when they put it on, I think Friday, they said he needed to clear.
Yeah, nobody reads that stuff.
So.
Oh well, Steve. Yeah, obviously we I think the approach is hopefully this is for people a learning opportunity to say, oh, this is how the football transfer world works. Right?
Yeah,
because it's obvious. I think a lot of people come to it understanding that there's some difference between most North American sports. So hopefully they learn something from this. Obviously,
I highly doubt it. Yeah, I'm talking about really the real casual one that just doesn't really pay attention to the inner workings of it.
Obviously, they're probably really frustrated, and they imagine what the LA game, the Goats game, might have been with him in the side.
Should they have announced this after the game? Because at least they would have had some good news after the game to announce it.
Or
does it make a difference?
I mean, we talked about this too, Steve. The whole announcement thing doesn't. Like I've heard other people say similar things, but did it not feel a little bit over the top? Like this is not like a player who newly arrived or whatever. It's like the dude's been here for months.
But the thing is, the so many people were concerned that he was leaving that I think that's why they decided to pump it up a little bit because people were happy when it was announced. There was quite a bit of reaction.
No, don't get me wrong. Yeah. You want to be happy. You want whatever. It just felt a little bit like.
Elevated.
And it felt a little bit like, honestly, it felt like one of those things like there's not a lot to celebrate right now. So we better celebrate something like this.
Now, what are your guys' opinion? This is he's classified as a defender, but he is he's an attacking player as well. Is this okay with you guys for a defender to be signed with a transfer fee being paid and be a DP when usually in MLS a DP is somebody who's a striker or a midfielder or in some cases a winger?
Ask Tim Howard. Actually, he would have won of.
He would be the worst classification of what a DP should be.
I think one of the keys you sort of mentioned at literacy was we will likely be able to deduce in September when the salary numbers from the players' union come out.
Yeah.
We'll likely be able to know whether or not his wages are actually what you and I or we would call a true DP, like a 1.5 or more. And we'll know, is he actually being paid as a part of the salary budget or in GAM and TAM funny money?
Yeah.
Or is any of his salary being paid directly by the owners?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's usually what happens with the DP. You can pay it with GAM and TAM, which is the only thing the Whitecaps have ever done, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
Or you can pay them more out of your own pocket, which my understanding is I don't think they've done or they've done very little of. And so I think that'll be an interesting part of this. He's a defender. He's a dynamic fullback, and in this league, he's quality. If he's not the top left-sided attacking fullback, then he's what, number 2 or number 3?
Top 3 for sure.
Yeah, he's up there. But
does he rank as the top player this year for the Whitecaps? Obviously, I think Kripo is probably the best.
At stretches, yes. I think he's been, for me, one of the more notable players in the field that has really kind of sparked the Whitecaps.
Probably top 3 for sure. Reyna, himself, and Kripo are probably the top 3.
Well, Reyna was out for a stretch, keep in mind.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing is that Adnan's had some pretty big gaffes too, right?
Yeah.
He's given up.
the opening game.
Yeah, he's given up. I mean, aside from the penalty, like defensively, he's made some really bad plays that have led to goals. So he's not like perfect, right?
Yeah.
But no, he is a massive part of this squad. And I think what they were celebrating in one sense too was also we don't have a huge hole in our team to fill.
Yeah. Now there's probably Mark DeSantos was saying about 2 to 3 players at the most are going to come in the summer. We don't know if that's for sure, and we don't know. I doubt there's going to be another transfer fee paid for in the summer. What kind of positions are you looking for? Not players in particular, but what positions do you think they need more to shore up in order to have a chance? Maybe not make a run in MLS, but maybe make a run in the Canadian Championship, which we'll talk about next segment.
I think the Canadian Championship, I don't know if you're looking at that as a fix, like to make a run at that. I think we have the Whitecaps have the depth to withstand that. I know we haven't talked about that years past because they haven't had the depth, but this year I think they're set for a Canadian Championship run. But there's no needs right now. I think your center backs are set with Cornelius, McDonough, Henry, Godoy. Like you have some players there. Probably another need would be center mid, I think. And if you're really, going out of your way, it'd probably be a right winger or a left winger just to help out Venuto and Bangura and Reina, who also can play out wide.
Yeah, I think there's
always a shopping list.
Yeah, I mean, they could use a true number 10.
They're not going to get that.
I know,
It
but
fit with them.
they could use that, like
Yeah.
a true, actual creative midfielder.
Or a number 8 that can be a number 10 or something.
A
like
number
that.
8 that can be dominant.
Yeah,
Sure,
exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's coming.
Yeah.
I think sorry, Zach.
Yeah.
One thing that they has been swirling right now is what in MLS acquisitions, which has helped the Whitecaps in seasons past. I don't know if it's something to, as Steve mentioned, use a transfer fee right now. But if you're looking for a guy that maybe is out of favor, a guy that isn't playing a whole lot or playing well for that matter, that's a time of the season where you don't want to spend too much money. You just want to give up some of your assets to get and see if they can help the team in a short-term or long-term basis.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's awkward about all this is this. Mark DeSantos said I believe last season or in January, he said January is not the time to buy.
Yeah,
because players are in the middle of the year, clubs don't want to let them go. Most players don't want to leave. They're in the middle of things. No, it feels like he's saying some similar things. This is not a great time to.
Well, he was saying because the salaries, the prices are so high at this point.
You pay more in January.
Yeah, you do.
You pay more in general.
But I think he's happy right now with the squad is why he's kind of at times he has been. I don't know right now, but after a performance like this,
take the last game aside.
Yeah, how are you happy with this? They got to do something. They got to do something. Maybe we'll talk about more later. But
yeah,
they've spent now 4.5 to 5.2 million of the Davies money on transfer fees. None of it on salaries, as far as we know.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if that's enough for people, because I definitely don't think it is as of yet.
Yeah, and Eliadnan, like we said, the transfer the actual transfer goes through on January 9th, and he'll be available for that Cavalry game. I don't know if he'll play it, but he'll be available for it, and we'll talk about that game after the break. So let's get away from that game on Saturday and let's look forward at least. As Wednesday, they're playing their first match in the Canadian Championship this year, and the first ever match against a CPL opponent. They'll be playing Cavalry FC, who were the CPL spring season champions.
Could you call me, refer to me as Joe Deasy for this part? Because if we're going to do the preview show.
Oh, okay, sure. If you want to. Who would I be then? I think I would be Joe Deasy because he's the one that knows.
No, I want to be Joe Deasy.
Okay,
everybody wants to be Joe Deasy.
You do the accent?
That's
a real question.
I don't want to insult Joe, but
we could all be Joe Deasy if you want to, if we try hard enough. So, first ever match against CPL opponent. First question: how much more important is them to do something, considering how the MLS season has gone so far, and considering where they are currently in MLS?
How important? I think this is exciting that you have a matchup of the worst Canadian MLS team versus the best Canadian Premier League team. I think that's exciting that's played out that way. Obviously, it would have been fun if Pacific had gotten their way through, because then the closeness would have been fun for traveling and whatnot. But no, this is huge. This is huge. I mean, no MLS. Sorry, I almost got that wrong. I almost said no MLS team has lost to our lower league side, but then I forgot about Toronto FC in Montreal. Exactly. But since then, since the Montreal back in the day, it's been a long time since an MLS side has fallen to another league side, and so no one wants to be the first. And I mean, you saw that even with the CPL playing some of those other the League One Ontario and the Q League teams.
Yeah, they didn't want to lose either.
Yeah,
especially Halifax. Halifax came close, didn't they?
Yeah, Halifax. I think they won on away goals.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. In the same sense, it's going to be. I mean, we're not going to talk about this game, but it's going to be. I think like all of Canada will be cheering on Halifax as they take on Ottawa.
Yeah, that's a guarantee. The only people cheering for Ottawa will be Fury fans. There won't be any neutrals going.
But no, this game is massive, because if Vancouver loses this, they lose revenue.
Yeah,
I've heard
whatever little revenue they get from these games.
No,
too.
but I've heard, it's not just that. I've heard in the past about I've heard some discussions about these kinds of things in the past, and what it could cost and why it could cost and whatever, and it's not insignificant, especially when you know the people who operate the Whitecaps and how much
I've met them before.
Yeah, how much they value budgets and
exactly,
and they have projections, and so they're projecting to get past this.
And
right?
the thing is with this year, usually it was a 2-round, playoff format. Now it's 3 rounds, so it's an extra game that they get at BC play. So, what do you think, Gideon? How important this upcoming series is in the next 2 games?
The game on Wednesday, I think, is exciting for Canadian soccer fans. I think most of people have had this circled in their calendar ever since Cavalry beat Pacific. But it's just exciting to see a team in Alberta that's not MLS competition, that has ever been MLS competition, but just kind of the close vicinity of it, and the organic side of things, where the Whitecaps get to play a team that hasn't played opposition like the Whitecaps yet. I think it's going to be fun to see the playing style that Cavalry come at the Whitecaps, and overall I think it's going to be a fun game. I don't know if Cavalry is going to be how tired they'll be, because they did play on Saturday or Sunday. So, and the Whitecaps as well, but I think the Whitecaps have a much deeper squad than Cavalry does, so it'll be interesting, but a massive game nonetheless.
Yeah, but the Cavalry fans, players will be jazzed to play this one.
Oh, well, they're like, how many of them are former Whitecaps and connected to the Whitecaps? Like, they're going to be up for it.
Yeah. Well, how strong of a lineup do you think Mark DeSantos puts out there on Wednesday? Is there going to be? He's mentioned before he's not going to rotate that much, but there's got to be some players that are going to pop in there that that haven't played in MLS or play very little in MLS.
Maybe, but we know he's not going to cheat.
Yeah.
Two.
Does Montero play because he can't play Saturday?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
But I think he said both on the record and off the record that he is not going to take this lightly, and I mean I believe him. I believe that he really wants to win this because he's Canadian and he knows what it is to win this. In earlier formats, and so he I think he wants this really badly, and it's not like a salvage the season thing. It's because I think he always wants to, like most coaches and players, like they want to win.
For sure.
And so I think you'll see a fairly strong lineup. So we've seen in the past, like up to 10 players changed. I don't know if we've seen 11, but we've seen 10. I think we've seen almost 9 or 10 for sure. I think you might see like maybe 3 or 4, something like that. But beyond that, I don't think it's
no matter how well they do, they're not going to make Whitecaps supporters forget about what's going on in MLS, because Whitecap supporters don't forget. So Mark DeSantos, obviously we're talking about him, but there's another coach on the other side that wants to win as well, and that's Tommy Whedon. Mazak had a chance to speak to him this past weekend.
Last week.
Canada
Day.
Canada Day, right. So
I didn't really. I just listened to him.
Okay,
really
so
talk.
you were there though to record. Okay, so this is Tom.
Tommy, your team will have the target on its back this fall's campaign, being the champions. How do you respond with a blank slate and teams eager to knock you off?
Look, pressure's a privilege, so we've got to enjoy those moments. We had a great spring season. I think we just got to go again and just keep going. We're a good bunch. They're collective together. No matter who we put in the lineup, we're tough to play against. So I think we just take the next game, which is Saturday's game back here at Pacific, and we feel each other out again. We just start one game at a time. We get to bring the squad back together again and get to go again. I think sometimes you have to taste that defeat because it also makes sure the lads don't take it for granted. And we won the spring for a reason because we were the best team over 10 games. That doesn't change us, but there's now that added fire to come back here Saturday and prove a point.
So Tommy, just your thoughts again on the motivation for the second half of the season. You're in the playoffs. Just to keep a level of playing well, you're not motivated all season.
It's professional football. It's an interesting format, but for us, we didn't want to lose this, and this was a so-say meaningless game. The guys are disappointed in that. There's a few choice words being said, but that's the accountability we want in this group. So for us, it's another league to win, irrespective of whether we're in the final or not. We want to win the league, and then we want to try and win there. But we just go again. We take one game at a time and go again.
Today was a chance for people to take their chance to break into the side. The disappointing results, not how you wanted it to go. Who stood out for you today, Tommy?
Yeah, well, Malonga's always a goal threat, isn't he? Both Gabby Batar and Malik Hamilton had flashes, but they're young, they're learning the game. Gabby could have got a couple of goals near the end, but it just didn't take them. But it's a different level, stepping up from youth sports to professional football, and he's learning his game. I thought Mauro Stacchio played well again today, and I feel for Nico Giantsopoulos. He's made a hell of a save in the first half, and we didn't really protect him. We knew Pacific could shoot from range, and we didn't protect him. But I said it's we'll go again.
It's very cold out here in the snow, marching to and from the enemy. Oh, I say it's tough, I have had enough. Can you stop the cavalry?
So that was Tommy Wheeldon speaking to Zach. Zach did speak to you. You did speak to him. Obviously, they talked about motivation there, about what motivates him. But I think this whole Canadian Championship will motivate him, even though there's nothing to play for in CPL. But the problem is if you're
there's stuff to play for.
There's stuff to play for. But what I'm saying is, if you don't stay on it, you will lose it. Basically, you can't flip a switch at the end of the year when you're going to face whoever. Because if they don't say they finish 5th or 6th or 4th, they're not going to. But if say they did that, whoever is the team that wins the fall title, they're going to come in on a high, and will Cavalry be able to match whatever they're coming off of? So that's the interesting thing. And this Canadian Championship will help them trying to, if they can advance past the Whitecaps, it kind of keeps them in the right frame of mind, I think.
Yeah. They had an impressive season.
Yeah.
It's only 10 games, and that's not. None of us think that's ideal, but how CPL kind of set that out. But they did what they had to do, right? Eight games, 10 games, 8 wins, 2 losses. They were value for winning that first spring title. Trophyless spring title.
Yeah, and I think you have to give credit to Cavalry and Tommy. The way they built the squad was through Calgary Foothills last year in the USL 2, and watching them last year, they had this similar season. They're just so dominant, and you see how that's kind of translated into this CPL spring season, now the fall season, how they've had the camaraderie, the ability to play together. They're just such a good team. They played together for the last year and a bit. They're strong, and I think they will probably push for the top 2 spot in the fall season.
Yeah, and the game on Canada Day was the closing game for the spring season. They significantly rotated their squad against a Pacific side that has been just crippled by injuries, and so Pacific won.
Cripple's an understatement.
Yeah. Pacific won that game, but then they also played each other back in Langford on the island yesterday, on Saturday.
Yeah.
To open the fall season, the Clausura, and the Great Clausura, and they won 3-2, right?
Yeah.
So they started, many more players. Camargo started.
Yeah.
Piscotti started.
Yeah, they both scored, right?
Yeah,
I think they both
so.
the first 2 goals. So it was quite a Elijah Adekube started. I think Mason Trafford, who played at center back on Monday.
Yeah.
I think he might have played fullback actually.
Sounds familiar because Zator and Waterman were in there. I think.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Wheeldon's brother I think played
Wheeldon,
too.
Yep. Wheeldon's brother, Jonathan.
Yeah, he's not a junior.
So, you rattled off some names there. Who are some of the players that have impressed you so far this season? For me, the one guy that I didn't expect, I'm not saying I didn't expect very much from him, but I didn't expect him to make such an impact was Elijah Adekube.
Yeah.
I think he led CPL in assists or something. He was one of the top players in assists for CPL. But he didn't make the top 11, which Sam Adekube mentioned in his tweets. But what other players, you could talk about Elijah too, what other players really were full value for what they played in this year?
Well, Elijah's a leader within the squad. He was huge in the Foothills over the last whatever it is 3 years.
3 years,
he's been there. And he's carried that on to the CPL and been one of the players who's helped them be so dominant in the results they've gotten. Mason Trafford, I think, is huge for them.
A good veteran too.
Yeah,
he's played in the Scandinavian leagues. I think he played a lot in Finland, if I'm not mistaken.
So he played here in Vancouver.
Yeah, obviously.
So I got to talk to him after the game too, and I was asking him because when he was here in Vancouver, he was playing mostly center mid. And I asked him about it. I'm like, I know you switched or whatever. And he was like, yeah, I know. Years ago I switched. And I'm like, do you like it? But he said, yeah, I enjoy playing center back now. I see the whole field, see everything happen, whatever. I was like, did you miss it? And he's just like, well, he's kind of like, I miss playing with Marty Nash in the center of the park. But it's been quite different since then. But so I think he's key for them. In terms of their league campaign, he's huge. I think in this series he'll be significant in terms of his experience and his leadership as well. But did anyone else stand up for you, Gideon?
I think Sergio Camargo, the goals leader in CPL, he was an outcast at Toronto FC and Toronto FC 2. Played with Calgary Foothills. He was very good last year, so I think he's been the main guy. Malonga as well has been very good. He's been very pacey.
He scored in the Canada game.
And Dominic Zator, a former WFC2 guy. So they've made some quality signings. They made some good additions, and again kept some of the squad. So,
but none stands taller or above any other than Marco Carducci.
Yeah,
who. Steve, we've known Marco since he was 15 or something?
Since he stopped that goal against Seattle on a penalty in his first ever game with the Whitecaps.
12? How old was he? He was really young.
No, he's 15. 15? It was a U15, U16 or whatever it was.
What is he now, 23?
I have no idea.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Should have a spreadsheet for this.
It's been a long time. And Marco, so he didn't play in the game on Monday when they lost. He played obviously when they won against Pacific. This is huge for him, right? He's coming back to. He's from Calgary, so he's playing at home. But he's coming back to a place where he spent. It's like his footballing, home in terms of becoming a professional, all that. Where he never made the breakthrough. Some might say never. Was never given a full chance to make a breakthrough. Some might argue, and so I think him along with Zader and. Even though I don't know how much Elijah was connected to things, but Trafford, who else is there?
Waterman. He played mostly center back.
There's all these guys that are going to have this desire to beat the Whitecaps. Aside from just wanting to obviously win,
exactly.
It'll be special for them to beat Vancouver.
So you did this person. You definitely did have a chance. Marco Carducci, you had a chance to speak to him.
Marco was very generous with this time.
Oh, he always is. And so you had a chance to speak to him on Canada Today, and speak to him about his thing. Here is Marco Carducci.
Okay, Marco, so you didn't play today, which I was disappointed in. Were you disappointed?
I mean, I knew ahead of time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was going to the meeting and like shocked or anything.
Yeah.
Obviously, we wrapped up the spring, and it was important. We have a lot of games coming up, and we have a deep team, and it's about rotation and whatnot, everything. So I knew coming in, but I knew there were some people here that may have it'd be fun to play in front of, but
or play against.
Exactly. Yeah, old teammates, old friends, and whatnot. So, but I mean, we're back here Saturday. So.
Yes. It's been a like you guys have. I mean, it might not be unfair to say you've dominated the first 10 games, the first half, the first apertura of the Canadian Premier League's inaugural season. Tell me, how did you guys do it?
I think we developed a culture and a chemistry within the team very quickly. Everyone knows, no surprise or no secret that we have a core group of guys who played together last year with Foothills under Tommy, so we all knew kind of exactly how we wanted to play, what was expected of us. The guys who came into the team bought into it right away, and I think from early days in preseason we showed just what we were about. And if you look back at the results we got this year, it wasn't all easy peasy, and I mean, this is a tough league, and we had to fight for a lot of results, and our characters showed in a lot of those games.
So were you surprised at how, again, I'll use the word, you didn't have to use it, but how dominant you guys were? Or was that you just like, no, it's a symbol of our hard work? Or like, well,
I think it not necessarily surprised, but I mean, I think we knew going in, it's a clean slate for everybody, so nobody knew what to expect from everybody else, right? It's 7 new teams competing against each other. We got a little taste of a couple of the teams down in the Dominican during preseason. But going into the year, you're just like, okay, well, I think we've prepared as much as possible, and now we'll go. We got off to a flying start with the 3 wins in 3, and I think at that point we were like, you know what? Again, earn those results for sure. And we just kept building that momentum, and I think that was a big thing for us too. We tied together 7 wins in a row, right? And I think, if you look back, it's like we just kept constantly getting better and constantly improving, and we did put the work in, so I 100% credit that. And things fell our way at times. I think you have to earn your luck as well, and I think we did that.
Yeah. I mean, today your team allowed 3 goals. It's the first time you've allowed more than 1 goal all season, right? A number of clean sheets. Solid.
Exactly.
Solid. I mean, you played solidly. Obviously, your defense was played well together and stuff. How do you stay motivated? So, like, you're not used to playing an aperture, clausura setup. How do you think you guys stay motivated to, like, you obviously you can celebrate or enjoy the winning the first half of the season, but you can't get complacent. Like, how are you guys staying motivated? How's Tommy and Marty and the staff? How are they?
I mean, I think you said it. We just can't get complacent. We're happy that we won this spring. We've enjoyed it. We will enjoy the moment. But we haven't won anything yet. We're going in. We went into the start of the season saying we want to be champions. So we have 18 games left after this, and we know we've booked a spot in the final. But 18 games to continue to improve, to continue to show ourselves and the league what we're about. We want to go and win the fall as well. It's as simple as that, right? And I think the players, the team, that comes naturally for everybody. We know that we just want to constantly be better, constantly improve, and dominate again. Like I said, we haven't won anything yet, and I think that's going to fuel us throughout the fall.
It's early days, 10 games. The Canadian Premier League, though, is obviously it's not just to have a league. It's not just to have games or new teams, new clubs. It's this understanding that our country needs a league if we're going to develop as a footballing nation. In these 10 games, what have you seen, or what have been maybe some things that you think are positive, as the league starts? And what are things the league maybe needs to work on?
First and foremost, I've just been impressed. Everything that the people have put into it, the organization, the level of the play, everything's been fantastic. And like you said, we need it. It's been a long time coming for sure. And I think being a part of that is really special as a player. But right now, I think the league has to find its feet as well, and there will be ups and downs along the road. But from my perspective, all I can say is it's been a success so far, and I'm just excited to see where it takes off.
Yeah, and anything they can do better, or what can be improved? I just think small sample size.
Of course, no. I just think with time, we'll constantly improve the level of play will constantly improve, the turnout, the fans, all that. It's all coming, right? It's all coming. It will take time. Obviously, Canada's a big country, a lot of travel involved, all that. And I think the right people are in the right spots to make sure that this league is a success for the long term.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Yeah.
A couple questions about you. What's your role within the team in terms of the leadership group? Like, you have been a leader at in various places in your career.
Yeah.
You've also been like the new guy, the young
Yes.
guy, all that kind of stuff. Where do you fit in the kind of what you can share of the structure of the team, of the leadership group? I mean, you're the keeper, so you're at the back. You have a role to play. Yeah. But where do you fit in the Cavalry FC setup?
Well, I think I want to play a leadership role, absolutely. I have taken a lot of experience over the last few years, and I want to bring that into this group. I'm a lead by example kind of person. I don't need to be the loudest voice or the rah-rah kind of style. And for me, it's just, I know I have a role to play. I'm part of a leadership group within the team. But for me, it's, again, example. Just being the consistent player I want to be, being the steady goalkeeper that I want to be for this team to again, at the end of the day, win games and win championships. Yeah.
For Marco Carducci, you're not yet starting for Lazio. Where do you feel you're at in your professional development as a player? Where do you see where do you need to go? Where are you going with this league, beyond this league, whatever? Like, where are you at?
You know what? I look at one day at a time, and I think that's what's gotten me where I am today. But I feel like I'm constantly improving and at the best I've been, and that comes down to minutes, playing competitive games. And over the last couple of years, I've played a lot of competitive games, and I think that's just helped me continue to grow as a goalkeeper and as a player. I have high goals for myself. Of course, I want to continue to take the steps and play at the highest level I can play, and we'll see where that is in a few years. But right at this point, I want to be the best goalkeeper in this league. And I want to get myself in the national team fold, and we'll see where that goes. But I think lately I'm, one step at a time. It's early. You have to keep improving constantly and can't get complacent whatsoever. But for me, it's, one step forward every day.
Yeah. One question about development. So this might sound like I'm leading you to a certain place. I just want to hear your thoughts. So, one of the things one of the places that played a huge role in your development was Whitecaps residency, Whitecaps Academy setup. You were a part of that. You came through that. You were one of a number of players in those various age groups over time who were, and I'm not just trying to be nice, but you were literally outstanding. You were great at the club. You were great for the national team. All these kinds of things. One of the things that happened there is it seemed like not just yourself, but a number of players who came out of that were not able to perform at the same heights at the age levels into the pros. What can, not just the Whitecaps, but what can clubs in Canada do to help bridge that gap? Like, obviously WFC2 was supposed to help with that, and that I think personally, I think it helped you. I think it played a role for you. But beyond, other than that, what can clubs do to help players go from being great at U15, U16, U18, U19 to being an outstanding pro?
I think this league is going to fill that void. At the end of the day, the jump from youth to senior is big, and it's difficult for guys to take that step immediately. Like you said, I was just one of a batch of players who kind of made that jump and struggled, and you fall out, and you see a lot of guys fall out of the game with that because it's difficult, of course, and we have so much talent in this country, so many young players that are coming through, that having just that gap filled by a competitive league, that I think having it domestic is huge, and where you can put an emphasis on Canadians. I think it's also no surprise that the MLS level, it's an American league at the end of the day, and that's a reality, I think, and it's a results-based business. So when you're an 18, 19-year-old kid or even younger trying to break in there, the CPL is also a results-based business as well. But having it being a Canadian league designed for development of Canadians, whether they're coaches, players, referees, supporters, everything, that's what I think is going to get us to the next level.
Cool.
Yeah.
Really, grazie. Thank you for your time. I love everybody.
Yeah.
Big thing,
So that was Marco Carducci talking to Zach about, the first half of the season and what to look forward to. Let's get to the actual bones of it now. What are your expectations for the match? What is a prediction, if you want to say prediction, if you're strong enough willed to, give one?
I think it's going to be a draw or a one goal victory.
Okay. Do you want to say whose side? Or?
I'm kind of hoping Marco gets a clean sheet.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying
and maybe like a 1-0 to Cavalry, but
just to make things interesting for the return.
Sure.
Okay.
But I also could see Vancouver because of like they're wounded, and I could see them coming out
pissed off too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully Montero doesn't hurt anybody.
I think it'll be a close game. I think Cavalry will sneak a goal, but I think the Whitecaps will score a couple just because coming off Saturday. I mean, they're struggling to score right now, but I think against I don't want to say weaker, but against a different team that they face this year, I think they could be able to capitalize on some mistakes and bag a couple goals on the road.
Yeah, I have it as a 2-1 win for Vancouver. I think they'll get a couple goals. I think they'll get soft and they'll give up one to Cavalry probably because they think it's in the bag. Usually that's what happens with the Whitecaps. We can't get that ultra clean sheet, just get the one.
We didn't plan this either, Zach, so we're not getting up on you, door.
No.
No, but I could see it. We don't know how it's going to go. It could go any which way at this point because they've never played against each other. The Whitecaps, they've played teams like FC Edmonton before, and they have shown like weaknesses. But that's when they totally rotate the squad, right? And so we don't know what's going to happen.
I've only ever seen a Vancouver team play a Calgary team once, and I think it was like 2004 or 2003, and it was the Calgary Mustangs.
Good name.
I think Neindorf might have been the coach.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember if Lutz was in net for the Calgary team or the Edmonton team, but Lutz Pfannenstiel.
Oh, wow. That must be years ago.
Oh, it was 2003 or 2004.
Yeah.
But no, this is an exciting matchup. Is this the best? Is this the most intriguing of the matchups for you?
I think so.
Cup?
I think I think for everybody, whoever's in neutral is going to be cheering for the lower teams. Like obviously Whitecaps, we want to see the Whitecaps go through. But for the other two games, I want to see Halifax win. Obviously, that's an obvious one.
Yeah.
But I also want to see York 9.
Yeah.
That one's I don't even know how York 9 got by FC Edmonton, but yeah. But I would like to see like upsets and see what's going on and shake things up.
And there will be. I don't know if
I tweeted about this,
but
yeah. I tweeted about this at the time, but it was great in the Voyageurs Cup to see all of those other CPL teams knock off the favored 3 CPL teams.
Yeah.
I think that was great. So it was good to see Edmonton go out. It was good to see Valor go out. Good to see Forge go out to other CPL teams who had to play the extra rounds.
Extra games,
and weren't eligible for the qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah. So, one thing is one thing is for sure that there should be a Canadian team will get some kind of results on Wednesday. Unlike the national teams who did not get great results.
Do we have to talk about that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it next segment when we come back after this break.
I make myself sick, I can't help it. I've always had this darkness, who am I without it? My thoughts have run wild for 22 years, and I'd expect it by now. I just swallowed my fear, but every time I break down, hysterically I say it's the very last time. I swear it will be. I try to change, I try to cope, I always climb back from the edge of my rope. This time is different. This time is different. I'm gonna try a new medication, Eastern religion or form of meditation. I'll change how I eat, they'll change how I speak, and I'll repeat my mantra before I go to sleep. But suddenly it sinks in, there's no time to fight it. I say it's the very last time, I can't keep going like this. I'm gonna change, I'm gonna cope, I'm gonna hold on to what's left of my hope.
That was Sarah Jickling, AFTN's Artist of the Month. She'll be continuing in July. The song is called This Time, and it's from her debut solo album, When I Get Better. It came out, I think, in 2017. So, and welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting live from the CITR FM studios at the University of British Columbia on the unceded Musqueam territory. So it doesn't get any better with the show because now we have to talk about the Canadian national teams. We'll start with the women at the World Cup. They lost in the round of 16, which is way below what most experts, the expectations were that they would achieve, believe they would achieve. Was there something missing from the club, or did they just run into strong opponents? If you look at it based on, the two teams they lost to, they were two second and third place teams.
Yeah.
Was there something missing though, or what do you think it was?
All I know
you
is,
can talk about specifically about that game that they got eliminated.
Yeah. All I know is it was disappointing. I mean, just watching them. I know that kind of in the lead up to the tournament there was like a good run of form, but there was not a lot of flowing of goals.
Yes, they were winning a lot of 1-0. I don't think they won. They really lose. Either it was a 0-0 draw or they didn't give up very many goals. No. That's essentially what it was.
But so yeah, I mean the loss to Sweden was
disappointing.
It was frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the time, but is it less bitter now because the fact that how the other teams?
Why would it be less bitter now? Just because they came third?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know lots of people have already given their opinions on this or whatever, and I haven't listened to all of them, but there's some that I definitely agree with. When this was going on, when the penalty's given, you're just like, okay, Sinclair has to take this. And I remember I don't know if it was after the penalty was taken or whatever. I remember Googling it and seeing, she got stopped against his keeper, and then I think they talked about it or whatever.
We talked about it last time, didn't we?
You might have brought it up.
Mentioned it.
Because she got stopped against his keeper in a shootout in the Algarve Cup.
Yeah.
Or Algarve Cup.
Algarve.
But still, this is you are on the verge of becoming the all-time leading scorer in women's football. You're in the knockout stages of the World Cup. This is not the time, in my opinion. So I mean, Christine has earned the right to do whatever she wants.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm okay that she can choose to do whatever. But I just think this was not the moment to pass the torch in that way.
Like a lot of people compare this to I think it was 1998, the gold medal game. No, not the gold medal game, semifinal game or whatever. Canada versus Czech Republic. It was a hockey game. And this is what the sentiment was. They were comparing Sinclair not taking a penalty to Wayne Gretzky, who is considered the best player of all time, being not available for the shootout. Like they basically parked him on the bench and he didn't get on. But in this case, it was Sinclair giving up her spot, which Gretzky would never do. He would jump over the board if it was the case. Does this take anything out of her, her aura or her stature in Canadian soccer, even a bit? Because there was nobody criticized. It seemed like nobody was criticizing. Everybody was criticizing the coach because they said the coach should have just installed, no, Sinclair, you're taking it.
Yeah, okay. We'll get to the coach in a second.
Yeah.
Does it ruin Sinclair? No, I don't think so. I mean, it hurts her probably most personally.
It's a blip on the screen for her.
Yeah, the fact that she'll never have finished, higher than fourth at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because it's unlikely she'll play in another World Cup.
No, yeah.
That'll probably be something that she'll be sad about, I think, probably for the rest of her life, even if only in a small way. Because I think there was a real opportunity to go further, to get into that Final Four for sure. Yeah, so Sinclair, I didn't understand. Then the taking of the penalty. Now everyone's like, "Oh, it was a great penalty. It was a good penalty. It was a quality penalty." I don't think it was a bad penalty. But
when you got the best goalie in the world, you're not going to be able to score with that.
Well, the height of it was it wasn't the perfect savable height, but it was just in that range. Yeah, it was in that range. It was at that level. And I like Janine Becky. I like her brother Drew. I know Drew a little bit from connecting with him from his time in MLS and stuff. And whatever. And I know their story. I mean, it was kind of a little bit heartbreaking that they shared her story in the halftime show of the game.
Yeah.
And and I can empathize, having lost my father when I was young, like and that part of her story. But I just so again, and I think so. I don't think the penalty was amazing. However, I love her courage to face the camera, face the cameras after. I think it was today or yesterday. She was tweeting about the significance of the tournament and the game, and specifically on the women's side progressing, so that things like the financial elements don't have to be such a huge thing in going forward for them. So I have a ton of respect, and I really like her, and I really think she's going to continue to be someone who produces and scores for Canada. But it just felt not right. Even before she took it, I was just like, Sinclair has to take this. Coming to the coach, when he gave that interview afterwards, that was awful. That was not good. Like, I know I've never coached high level athletes, right? But the whole there's 4 or 5 people who can take them. I let them sort it out on the field. Like, you're the coach, man. Like, your job's on the line. Your neck's on the line. Like, are you really going to say, yeah, I try? Like, no, like, that, I don't know. That's where Steve, Gideon, would you not be like, I want player X to execute this single player moment in the match? Like,
there wouldn't be a top 4. I think there'd be, you have Sinclair or you have Becky. And I think in this case, it was between Sinclair and Becky. And like, going back to what you're talking about, Zach, I think, one, the timing wasn't right to pass the torch, quote unquote. But again, like, that just shows you the character that Christine Sinclair is. She's unselfish. But in that moment, yes, you get a penalty saved in the Algarve Cup a few months earlier. But you're still the go-to person on the team. You got to score the goal, right? But again, if you're the coach, you got to. That's something that you got to figure out before the game. You have to figure out in set pieces. In practice, you have a person that's going to be taking the free kicks, the set pieces, the penalty kicks. You have that decided, and to decide that in game in such a crucial time, it's so hard to do.
Yeah, because you're leaving like the emotions and the pressure of it all then come into play.
And the timing, you're rushed, so rushed.
As opposed to everyone being like, "Oh, we know, Steve, you're taking the penalty for the game. It happens, Steve, you're stepping up." There's no like, I just thought it was horrendous.
Now, penalty aside, I think the biggest issue in the game was the lack of finishing, because in the first half they kind of dominated. They had 61% of possession. They completed more passes than Sweden even attempted. So, do you think the finishing was should they even got to the penalties? They should have had some chances buried. They should have created more chances and then buried them.
They created more in the last 10 minutes of the game. Obviously, they were down, but the urgency in the last 10 minutes of the game was something I would have liked to see from the first whistle onto the last whistle, just because you're in those type of games where you want to kind of push yourself forward and get that first goal, whereas I don't know if the creativity from the midfield side of things was sublime in that game. Again, they did create chances, as Steve said, but I think it just needs to be better.
I think it comes back to what's your frequency, Kenneth, because again, the substitutions I thought were poor. Yeah. Like Quinn came on for, was it Desiree Scott?
I thought it was I heard it was a forward.
Well, you should never be bringing in a holding midfielder player. In that game, you needed someone to help change the game. I know we're biased, but Jordan Huitema should have been on the field in that. And I know, the substitutions didn't make sense.
Yeah,
to me.
You talked about the young players there. Obviously, we're talking about Sinclair's probably her final World Cup. There's other players like Desiree Scott, Sophie Schmidt, Alicia Chapman, probably their final World Cup. What is your opinion of the future with the likes of Huitema? You mentioned her, Fleming, Grosso, Rivera. Who's going to step up? Like, you got Kadisha Buchanan, who's still young, and hopefully she gets some playing time during the season with her club team so that she can actually be ready to go. Because I don't think she was as dominant as she was at the previous World Cup.
No.
Who do you think takes it up from all of that? Do you think it's going to be a group effort and there won't be another Christine Sinclair? They'll have to deal with it as a team.
Well, they need to score more goals. So whether it's Becky scoring or Huitema or whoever like that. Yeah, you hope that multiple people are scoring. Jessie Fleming, I think, is
Ashley Lawrence. I forgot about her.
Yeah, Ashley Lawrence she's a really great fullback.
She's really good.
Yeah, so I think hopefully, Steve, it's more of a generational thing. So hopefully it's more of a group of them of doing that. But it's going to be interesting because the last 2 World Cups where they have not performed the way they would have liked to have, they had huge bounce backs in the Olympics. So the next thing for them is going to be qualifying for the Olympics and then seeing if they can, for lack of a better term, right the ship in the Olympics.
Yeah.
For me, the one of the questions in all this will be how much longer after she breaks the record will Sinclair keep going?
Yeah.
Is it the Olympics?
Yeah.
She's
Is that where the swan song is? Yeah. How about you guys' opinion on the final today? Obviously, the U.S. won. I think it was 2-0. I didn't watch the game. I slept into it.
I'm very sad. My home country of Holland was the
Irania
dropped. Well, from Canada, but my back.
I thought you were Mexican.
No, despite my jersey I'm wearing today. No, I think it was a good final. The first half was obviously back and forth.
So your mom's Dutch, right?
My mom's Dutch.
Your dad's not Dutch.
No, he's very Canadian. Yeah. I think the first 45 minutes, as the commentator said numerous times, was back and forth. I think the U.S. came out as a better team, rightfully so. Netherlands retired, made a couple offensive substitutions, but U.S. pulled out. And I mean, Rapinoe, like the penalties in this tournament have just like so many VAR. We'll not get into it right now. But
did you think it was a penalty?
No,
I didn't think it was the penalty.
Morgan was not in a goal scoring position.
No,
like the contact, in a goal scoring position with the ball at your feet. Yeah, but the ball was in the air, and Morgan was not facing the goal, and she was to the left of the keeper, just at the top of the 18.
Yeah, definitely not a penalty for me. It was actually a really good game. I didn't get to see it all live, but the parts I got to see live, and then I watched it again more later in the day. It was a good game, so it was nice to see a well contested final. Although I know I was talking with some friends after, and I know the stats were very much.
Let's not talk about the stats. It's just
very heavy for the U.S.
After 2010, losing to Spain and this today, we need some Dutch revivalness and then the World Cups, but that may come in the next few years here.
Well, the World Cup is over, but we still have Wavelength. It's our favorite part of the show. This week's song is actually tied into the Women's World Cup ending, and it's from 1988 by a group called Beer Zone. It's called The France Dance. Was originally brought out for the 1998 Men's World Cup there, and it kind of had a little bit of a resurgence this World Cup. So let's play it right now for you, and we'll be back with the Canadian men's team.
For the team, help fulfill a nation dream. Travel by air and land and sea, towards the bars of Gay Paris. We meet up with lots of mate. Back at home our nation waits. Near kick-off we leave the bars. Head to the match to cheer the stars. We're all gonna dance the streets of France. We're all gonna dance the streets of France. We're all gonna dance the streets of France. Kicks off and we defend, then we attack it's end to end. Wheeling the ball into the net, still no score, there's still time yet. Boom on jersey, give your all, every breath fight for the ball. Pride and petulance there to see, and it rubs off on you and me. We're all gonna dance the streets of France. We're all gonna dance the streets of France. We're all gonna dance the streets of France. We're on top and we attack. The guy pulls our striker back. He's in a box with penalty. Our guy sticks the ball away. 1-0 up, now we defend. Back to the wall until the end. Hearts in my mouth, I just can't wait for the final whistle. Let's celebrate. We're all gonna dance the streets of France. 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 We're all gonna dance the streets
the France Dance by the Beer Zone.
Hey, why did you fade it out?
I didn't fade it out.
Oh, it just does that.
It just does that.
It's like kind of like the French in this.
Oh, okay. Speaking of French teams, Canadian men's lost to a French team on what was it, a week ago or more than a week ago or whatever it was. In some eyes, it was worse for the men with Canada, between the Canadian men's and women's, because they were kind of in control at halftime and they coughed it up, basically vomited it up, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. They gave up 3 goals in the second half to Haiti. Started off with that horrible back pass.
Zach, I'll let you go because I have a story to tell about this game.
I have a story too. I told you, Steve, right? I knew I couldn't watch. I had a family thing.
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't watch the whole game. So my son and I watched the first half.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, and at the time, like I was like, oh, they should be scoring more here. They created enough. They should have scored more. But like we left the house very comfortable. And Steve, it makes me think about the most dangerous score.
two goal lead.
2-goal lead. And so I left. I was like, hey, no problem. I'm excited, whatever, looking forward to a semifinal with Mexico, likely Mexico. And
Davies hit a post too. It could have been 3-0, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So then like an hour later, I'm out at this thing I had to go to. And I was like, I'll check the score. I just want to see what the final score. And I turned on Twitter, and I was just like, this is some sick joke.
Yeah.
I went to the CSA feed. I was like, 3-2 in the 86th minute or so. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then I went back and read. I was like, this is got to be. And then I went to some place where I discussed such things with friends, and I was like, everyone was.
I basically, I wasn't going to watch it live. I didn't have time. So I saw it at halftime. It was 2-0. And then I kept checking. And then I saw 2-2. I go, oh crap. And then it was like 3-2. And then at that point, there's no way they're coming back because it was just by looking at the way this goals happened. I saw the Gideon. I didn't see it, but I heard about the Gideon back pass. It seemed like they were just like fell apart. And when you watch the highlights, that's essentially what happened. Was it like was that the biggest issue? Was it the inability to handle adversity, or just a lack of tactical awareness by John Herdman and the way he set up the team, especially after the first goal?
Okay, so I was on the bus down.
Oh, your story. Yeah, I forgot about your story.
So I was on the way down to Seattle with some Whitecaps people for the game. It was like a volunteer get together, and we were on the way down. I was checking the score. I was watching part of the game on my phone. It was 2-0. I said, okay, so we'll walk off the bus to the pub we were eating before the game. And we walk in, we hear some cheering. We're like, oh, okay, so maybe these, American Sounders fans, a very green bar full of Sounders fans, we thought they were cheering for Canada for some reason. So my Brazilian friend said, oh, maybe they're cheering for Canada. I said, no, okay. So we go and sit down. It was 2-1. We're like, all right, so we're ordering, sitting down, ordering food, and all of a sudden it's 2-2. And everyone goes absolutely bananas. I'm like, there's no way Canada loses here when I'm down in, for America for the soccer game. Sure enough, Haitians get it. I mean, it was a good goal. Like, it was a good finish.
The third one.
Yeah, the third goal. And it was just, like my heart sank. It's just not a place you want to be in for your country losing, but not a game you want to lose against. It was a promising tournament for Canada, let's be honest. Like, losing Mexico, yeah, that was expected, but the way the Canada looked was good, but I like going to the game, like just I think sticking with the way the personnel was okay. I think Godinho didn't have by far his best game in a Canada shirt, like not even close. Like
who?
Godinho.
Oh, Marcus Godinho.
Yeah, like him and Brogy are kind of alternated places in the tournament, which is good. You don't want to have that freshness, but man, oh man, it was the back pass to Borjan. It was.
And I called it. I remember I told you 2 weeks ago that Haiti, don't sleep on Haiti, and they beat Costa Rica, and then they beat Canada. So it was
a double don't sleep on.
Yeah. So what do you think? It was just they kind of just fell apart? They weren't used to that attack, or what was it?
I don't know. Part of me wonders if they got complacent, and like after Haiti beat Costa Rica, they're like, hey, we got a free pass to the semifinal, and then at halftime they're maybe feeling that even more because they were up by 2, and they're like, hey, let's just ease off a bit. Let's just see the game out. But the poor Godinho, like the back pass was awful.
Yeah.
Like it was terrible. But but I think worse was the challenge that gave away the penalty. That was even, I think, worse because, to be fair,
But I think he was like, because the back pass, he really wanted to
Trying
make
to
up
make up
for
for it?
Yeah,
But you don't make up for it with a 2-footed challenge.
tackle in the
wow.
area. Yeah.
Blood rushes to the head. Either one.
And as much as the third goal was good if you're Haitian, it was not great defending by Canada.
Like I didn't, I wasn't trying to say that it was just a good finish, but like there's nothing you really could have done in the 2-0 sense of let's shut the game down. Like I don't think they made any substitutions at halftime to look ahead to the next game. Like they came out in the second half and played.
No, I just meant mentally.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
You have 2-0 lead.
Did they need this wake up call just to remind them that it won't be easy in games like this, like they had against Cuba and Martinique, even though Martinique wasn't that easy of a game? But they need this wake up call to show you can't just sleep on opponent just because they might not be considered a top team.
I don't think so. I mean, the Mexico game, like. Despite the shirt, I think it was an awakening call. I think the result was expected, but we were able to bag a goal. It kept it 3-1, but I don't know if this is a wake up call. I think it's more of just unfortunate that Canada is still growing pains right now. And yeah, Zach, do you have an opinion on the matter?
No, I don't think they needed one, Steve. But in one sense, yeah, you'd rather this kind of blip during Gold Cup as opposed to World Cup qualifying.
Yeah.
Take nothing away from Haiti. They may not be the most skilled team, but man, they work hard. You see every game, like in the quarterfinal they play, or
semifinal against Mexico. They gave hard. Mexico a run for it.
They hit a crossbar late on.
Well, even going back to 2016. Maybe I'm wrong.
The Gold Cup.
The Gold Cup.
2017.
No, 2016.
There was no Gold Cup.
2017.
2017.
No, sorry. 2016. When they did the unified Copa.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
So I saw Haiti play Peru in Seattle. I'm pretty sure it was Haiti. Yeah, it was Haiti.
We'll give it
and Peru only won 1-0. And it was partly because Peru was a little bit off, but I was a little bit impressed with that Haiti held them off so much. But so there's a bit of team spirit there and like a bit of, coming together. But I mean, both the men's and the women's teams in these tournaments ultimately went 2-2.
Yeah.
So they deserve to be where they were in the end, nowhere near the top. I'm gutted for someone like Atiba.
Yeah.
I just feel so bad if this is his last game or this is his last significant competition he's in or contribution he makes. I just felt so bad for him. And again, he too gave an interview afterward and like. Smooth, like whatever, like just like it was another interview. But I hope he gets to go out on a better note than this. And but I'm sad for him and a couple of older guys.
Yeah, the semifinals happened for the Gold Cup. Obviously, the final today, and it was all surrounded by MLS games, which is so stupid. Like, why do you schedule your games on the semifinal days and the final days? Like, it's absolutely stupid.
It's because of the 4th of July, because teams
yeah,
played on
still,
Thursday, and then you have to play.
I understand that they want to get, but you don't do it.
How many teams played today? It was only 6 or 3?
Three games.
No, there were 4 games, wasn't there? Because Orlando and Philadelphia was postponed or something like that. But whatever the case is, what are you guys' thoughts? Did you guys watch the game against?
Yeah.
And what were your thoughts on that one? Quick thoughts.
I was not disappointed. I mean, very rarely do I cheer for Gideon's Mexico.
Yeah.
And I wasn't cheering for them, but I was okay that they scored a goal.
Yeah.
I mean, it would imagine how.
It's good to see Josie Altidore miss a minute there early in the
Yeah, he should have. It was a great move, but he should have scored. Imagine how unbearable it would have been if America won 2 finals in one day.
Not bearable. I think the Americans should, their favorite spot in the Soldier Field Stadium is row ZZ because that's how many shots they hit up in the rafters at Soldier Field. So it was a good game. I think Mexico deserved to win given their second half performance. And if you look at the goal again, the Dos Santos finish, very underestimated. Stu Holden pointed this out, but he got the ball out of his feet so quickly to finish. I thought it was a good goal, but he plays for the Galaxy, so I don't respect him there. But the goal for Mexico is good.
But he's your Mexican brother.
Chicharito wasn't playing the tournament, so again.
Those who Gideon is wearing a nice, was it 2018 World Cup? Green Adidas Mexican Chicharito.
Javier Hernandez Chicharito jersey.
Cool.
Yeah. So, that's another Gold Cup.
Come and gone.
Another 6 months before the next Gold Cup or something. I don't know.
24 months.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years, too.
2021.
I thought they were going to make it quicker so they could get another tournament.
They should.
That's the Gold Cup. Obviously, Canadian men's and women's. Not a great year for them, but we'll see what happens next. At least the men have the League of Nations to go through, and then the women have the Olympic qualifying.
Cuba and the U.S. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And Toronto, though, sad days.
That's okay.
That's okay. After the break, we'll talk about a few things on CPL, Copa America, and MLS. That was Vacation by the Go-Go's. Reason why we have that on, because that was part of the credit scene in the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, you watched it twice in the same day.
Twice on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Twice on opening day.
I watched it once.
IMAX, no 3D, and then AVX 3D.
Oh, yeah, okay. I watched the AVX, not no 3D. I don't like 3D.
I don't like 3D either.
But good movie, I thought. I enjoyed it.
It was enjoyable.
Yeah.
I don't know all the.
It's hard. It's a good movie to come out after Endgame.
Yeah, it was like
because
light.
Yeah, you don't like. I remember.
No spoilers. Are we allowed to spoil?
No
spoilers.
For
Endgame.
No, don't even do
nothing,
Endgame.
anything.
It's not worth it. But like for example, there was one year where they did a big event movie, and then they had Ant-Man come on afterwards. That's what you kind of want.
Infinity War.
Yeah, exactly.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah.
But there was some pretty big things going on in Spider-Man though that should elevate what's going to happen next.
Yeah, some of the things are pretty obvious if you watch the other movies carefully.
Yeah, but I'm not a big fan of the mid-credit scene. If you know, I enjoyed who showed up in it, but I'm not a big fan of some of the stuff. We'll talk about it after the show. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it after because I'm going to spoil stuff if I mention it.
Okay, so I know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Who showed up?
Yeah,
of course I know who showed up. That was interesting. I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
But I think
we'll talk about it after.
We'll talk about it. But the one thing I will say is I don't like. I have really become a big enjoyer of the cinematic universe.
Yeah,
I was not a comic book person growing up.
Yeah, I was
at all. So I went into this movie, and so Mysterio is in this movie.
Okay.
And I resisted the urge to Google him about his story, and I'm glad I did. So if you're not a comic book person, don't Google these people beforehand and hear their backstories and how things played out in the comic books. Just go and enjoy them.
Yeah, I knew what was going on. Okay, so
I knew partly what was going on, but I didn't know how much of I didn't know the details of it. And had I known that, I might have not.
I had the whole movie I knew what was going to happen every step of the way, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting live from the CITR FM studios at the University of British Columbia on the unceded Musqueam territory. Let's get to the CPL. We talked about it before. You talked to Marco about it. Thoughts about the first half of the season? Obviously, Cavalry won it. Who's surprised and who's disappointed on the pitch? And you can even mention off the pitch if you wanted, what things you liked about off the pitch or on the pitch.
Well, I was just going to say Zach and I were at the first ever Pacific game in April.
Everyone but you, Steve.
Humble brag.
AFTN was at.
We popped our Pacific cherries that day. Just kidding. Anyways, so yeah, first game quality, maybe wasn't there, but the environment just for me, it's just incredible. You go to Whitecaps games, yeah, it's it's good, but when you're so close to the field and you have the supporters to your right, you have food trucks, you have way too loud music in the background playing before the game that puts you to deaf. It's enjoyable. People that are able to make the trip over should. Cheap tickets, parking is pretty feasible. I know I sound like I'm probably marketing specific right now.
No, but then they also have shuttles coming in from different parts of the.
Yeah,
I think they have a couple of sponsorships with like bars or something like that they shuttle people in back and forth too. So I agree from what I've seen on TV online and everything, because you can only watch it online.
No, there's games on TBC
sometimes.
Yeah, CBC.
You have to be able to really find it. The atmosphere on most of the games are pretty good. I haven't seen a lot of the games out east because it's just too early.
Halifax is sweet.
Yeah,
they're
no,
cool.
I like their setup too. I think it's a fantastic thing. But is there anything that you would want them to? I know you asked Marco about it. But what about you, Zach? What are some of the things you would like to change?
I would have wished I could have used my season ticket at Pacific before.
Yeah.
It's not just it's more the logistics or like the time. It's not cheap either, but it definitely gives you more respect for like the Georgia Strait supporters and the people who come over for MLS games from the island. No, I like that day was great. Like, it was amazing. And then having gone back this last Monday, Canada Day, for the game. The stadium has improved.
It's more built. I've seen it online. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the roof's on that one part, and then the whole the other end is being built
now. Yeah.
There's gonna be more boxes in there. So it was similar. It was Canada Day, so there's a lot of people like who leave the island or go away or do stuff. So it was only like 2,500 to 3,000. So it wasn't like whatever it was 5 or 6 for that opening game. But there was still a good
turnout.
Yeah, there's still good turnout. There's still a good atmosphere. It's better than like Swangard and USL. Like everything's better. Like the stadium's better. The proximity is better. The closest, the tightness, the feel, the stadium. Obviously the pitch is turf, so that sucks. But
and very small too. Very small.
It's not that
feels small.
I mean, it's not like New York City.
No. But it's anyways.
I think it's just the way it's set up. It makes it look small because you're so intimate.
So like I've enjoyed my two times I've gone over there, and I hope to go a number more times in the fall, the Clausura season. The league as a whole, yeah, I mean, it's had its growing pains. There's things that I think they're doing well, things that they definitely can improve on. I still get to connect with some different voices from who are involved in some of the supporter stuff from around the league and around the country. They've made some missteps. They've done something well. Like any other league, some FOs and owners are probably better at some things than others. So those kind of things. In terms of on the field, I don't know. I think like the level of play has been probably a little bit above where I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, like we're thinking college, quality, but there's
some people mentioned VMSL level. That's what a lot of people were saying.
I think that was too far-fetched.
But a lot of people were mentioning this is going to be
I don't think it's that level, do you?
No, I don't. Okay. I think it's better. I was saying before the season started, people were thinking, it's going to be VMSL level, but it's not.
One thing that I know you've thrown around, the word organic comes to mind when you're looking at the supporter culture, the getting to the game, the way things are set up. It just feels feels new. Whereas you go, BC Place, it's already, built stadium, everything's put together. There's, lots of supporters, but this just feels like you go with friends, you meet people there, you get to know everybody. It just feels like a closer, community. And like you mentioned, Zach, it's just a lot of fun to be a part of.
The amazing thing about this is not just like a sports team in your town. Like, you have the opportunity of like creating something and building something, like just the traditions that some of these supporters have like started, right? Like they're laying this foundation that hopefully will last for decades, century, will go on forever, in legend. And so it's just it's exciting time to be a part of football culture, supporter culture in Canada, and obviously. My biggest longing is that there's a team in the lower mainland.
Though, see, you'll be able to go to more games then too.
Yeah, and be more involved.
How about off the pitch? Like for example, let's look at One Soccer or how the league is shaping up in the the rankings of sports in Canada. Obviously, it's not going to match at this point MLS and CFL, and there's no way it's ever going to match NHL hockey. But it's it's gotten I've seen more ads on TSN, for example, when TSN in the regular ads and everything. But is it visible enough for people to grasp on? For example, One Soccer on their Twitter feed, they don't show the goal sometimes. So they show the celebration after the goal, but they won't show the goal. They don't show proper highlights. How are people supposed to notice this? And right now, it's not covered by the Sportsnet Central or TSN Sports Desk or whatever the hell they call it.
There's no more football people at Sportsnet.
Yeah, exactly. That's an issue. We'll talk about that next week probably. But what do you think of, obviously it's not being covered right now by them, but you see ads for it. Is it a novelty right now still, or do you think it's moving up there?
I think it's moving up, but just talk about One Soccer here, Media Pro. I love the coverage. I love that they're doing the Chinese Premier or Chinese Soccer League. I like that they're doing the Canadian national teams. But the problem I have, just being a broadcaster, is that they're not having people at the stadium broadcasting the game. The first game, Pacific, the Pacific has had it a couple times, but guys are in the studio when they're doing the CPL game, and later they're doing commentary for TSN. That to me doesn't feel, when we talk about organic, doesn't feel organic to me. You'll know when people are there or not. You see it on TSN sometimes. Yeah, it gets frustrating, but you just feel like you're there when the announcers are. You can tell they're in the stadium, and they see a lot more. They don't miss stuff. But to me, that's the only problem I've had with One Soccer, and that they've been very good with the coverage. But as Steve mentioned, sometimes they miss goals. But I think just overall, at first, startup league.
They don't miss goals. They're not.
They do it on purpose in order so people sign up
exactly.
for it. But I don't know if that works, man. You need to.
But you don't have highlights later.
You don't have to show the build up, but the immediate thing. So if you put the immediate goal, then somebody might want to tune in right away and jump on right away. But you can't. You have to show the goal immediately, because it just gets people excited for it. Otherwise, highlights maybe 4 or 5 hours afterwards. Nobody's really paying attention at that point. It's gone.
Do you think it's wise if they did every goal, Steve?
They should do some of the big ones.
Okay.
They definitely should. All the other leagues do goals right away. Even in FIFA does with the World Cup, they do goals right away now.
But I mean, you're not paying for a subscription for the World Cup.
I don't understand that, but what I'm saying is that they still release the information. You have to get people on board. You just can't hide everything hoping they subscribe. You have to show something in order to get somebody coming in.
I was so excited recently at the news from the league that they departed with probably the least loved member of their staff when Kurt Larson left Canadian Premier League, and then at the same time I was really sad when I heard that he's now working for Media Pro for One Soccer. Now he's on air.
He's a pundit,
on air personality.
Yeah. Well,
I like some of the people they have on there.
You got to take the good with the bad, I guess, or bad with the good. Let's move on to MLS. A lot of games, obviously, this week between Wednesday and Sunday. They really wanted to pack some games in for the everybody's days off and down south with the July 4th weekend. Some interesting games this week. I'm just going to shoot some off, especially early in the week. You got New York City trouncing Seattle, but then they lost today to Portland. Chicago beating Atlanta 5-1, and then LAFC. We talked about them. They defeated Sporting Kansas City in Kansas City 5-1. FC Cincinnati's first win after 6 straight losses. Apparently they're looking to hire a coach for an 18-month contract, and people were criticizing that because they just want to get rid of some of their bad contracts so they can rebuild when the 18 months is over. It's a kind of weird system there. Definitely culture is not an issue there. Minnesota.
So they're hiring him for 18 months?
Apparently there was something on Twitter. I saw it very quickly, and there were some retweets and commentary afterwards that they're looking to hire a coach for 18 months.
This coach or the interim guy?
Whoever the next coach is.
What coach is going to sign an 18-month contract?
I don't know. That's what they're talking about. Doesn't look good for them because they're trying to wait till they have some people on contract for 18 months, like maybe Addy or something like that, and they don't want to clear that off. So then they bring in a coach, and he brings in new players. So I don't know what they're.
I was really happy they got the win after Kendall came back from the Gold Cup.
Yeah,
it was good to see them break that streak.
Minnesota has picked up 6 points this week. 2 wins.
Boxy got a goal.
Yeah,
do you see that? Boxy got a goal.
I saw that. That was an unexpected.
Yeah.
Except for Colorado and Vancouver, I think played only one game each. Every Western team picked up at least 3 points. So, what do you think of this week, and were you able to keep up with it considering how many games there were?
It was a weird weekend. I know New England and Colorado had a significant weather delay, as did Columbus, and Orlando and Philadelphia was rescheduled. So, and then the blowouts as well. So just a weird weekend in MLS, but a regular one, I think.
No thoughts? You didn't get a chance to watch anything?
No, I watched some.
Yeah.
The Atlanta game I thought was quite shocking.
Soccer United marketing. No, yeah. I mean, there were definitely some interesting results. It was not the table does not look good for Vancouver.
No, not at this point.
I mean, unless they want to really live out that whole underdog thing.
Yeah.
So they're giving everyone a chance to get far ahead so they can chase them. I don't know. I keep on looking and seeing Montreal so high in the East, and
it's weird.
It is weird.
I don't think Piatti's back yet, or he might just still be working his way
back. And the thing is with him, with Montreal, is they've lost games horribly.
Yeah.
And then they win games too. I guarantee you their goal differential isn't that great if you look it up. They're a good young team this
year. They've signed some good young players. So.
Let's move on to the Copa America final. Another final today. Too many in one day.
No, okay. Can we talk about that for 1 second?
Okay.
Because I agree. Yeah, in one sense, there are some downsides to having these 3 finals in one day.
Yeah.
Especially if you're American and you want to try, and you're rich and you want to go to both. It was not possible. I don't think that was physically possible.
I don't think you were going to get into the Gold Cup final. Anyways, there's a lot of Mexicans there. They bought out a lot of tickets. It was a home game basically for Mexico.
What? Yeah, okay. So aside from that, not being able to go to all of them, I kind of enjoyed it a little bit. I thought it added to the day. I mean, aside from the MLS, taking away the MLS games.
Yeah.
You had these 3 massive games, and even though they were on the same day, they were scheduled so you could watch them all with a little bit of a break.
No, there was definitely a good setup that way. I just didn't have time to watch any of them today. Brazil obviously beat Peru 3-1.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Gabriel Jesus wasn't on the pitch for the end of it because he got a red card, and then he really lost.
He set up the opening goal. That was a
beautiful ball.
Yeah, no, he I think he got a goal and assist.
He set up the
goal,
and
assist,
and
a red card. Yeah.
That's a Gordie Howe hat trick.
Well, that was an elbow.
Brazil just made it now.
A goal, assist, and a fight or something.
Call out the Neymar hat trick or something.
But he fought with the VAR booth there. He knocked that over.
He fought the VAR, and the VAR
I wish we could all do that sometimes.
What are your thoughts on that game? It was a predictable one for them.
Peru is becoming a good South American team. I find they're not Argentina or Brazil or Chile.
But a lot of those teams rotate in South America. You always have the Uruguay, Brazil, and Argentina are the top 3 normally, and then you have everybody kind of rotate. Everybody has their moment. Chile is
not everyone.
Not everyone, but most. There's 3-4. The next 3-4 teams kind of rotate in and out. Like Venezuela will have a good one, or Colombia will have a good stretch and stuff like that. So
it's been a long time since Bolivia.
No, I'm not saying Bolivia. I never even mentioned
Venezuela's.
That would be everyone.
Yeah, because of one player. But yeah.
I mean, I wanted Peru to overcome Brazil.
Yeah.
So yeah. Today I was Holland, Peru, and Mexico, and only Mexico won. But I thought they did respectable in this game. I thought the penalty was unlike some of the other. I thought their penalty was good. I thought the Brazil penalty at the end was not a penalty either. Just like the American one in the Women's World Cup final, not a penalty. That was not a penalty. The ball was gone. It was shoulder. I know it was kind of like a hip, like a shoulder check or whatever. But that was weak to me, and I felt bad because that was Zambrano, and Zambrano is the guy who fell down that let Jesus score the winning goal.
That whole play I was up in arms. I was so furious with that, but it's soccer, so I mean, what else can you do? But yeah, I think Peru. There's a couple of MLSers on Peru. I was rooting for them. They've been good for the past 3 years, so I was hoping they could pull it out, but. Unfortunately, not against the mighty Brazil, who seemed to be playing a B squad, but we're still very dominant.
Yeah, and according to Messi, was picked to win the team by the actual confederation. He had some strong comments after Saturday, where he basically it's somebody that would mention about CONCACAF. Yeah. it's somebody that would no. They were basically saying that the federation picked Brazil and put them in the best position. Although he said this after he got the red card. I think his second ever red card in his career.
First was his first ever game for Argentina.
Yeah, so
the time frame.
Yeah, maybe this will be his last game for Argentina. it's interesting to see like his comments. Obviously, out of frustration, probably came right after the game. I'm assuming.
Well, the game would have been on probably
Saturday.
The game was Saturday.
The third place game. Third place game was on Saturday, so we mentioned it after that. Yeah. So, but they shot back saying that why would? And the thing is, you think of it, why would they want the best player that's in the federation not to be in the final? If they were like CONCACAF, they would have Argentina and Brazil in the final, like they set up Mexico and U.S. in the final every year.
Were his comments mostly about his sending off?
No, there was a little bit of sending off, but mostly about the Brazil being picked to win the.
Just complaining in general.
Yeah, well, it's not like there's been no corruption in football. So
yeah,
when you're him, it's almost like safe to say something like that. Like no one's gonna
fine you,
refute you,
yeah,
or
no one's gonna rag on you that hard because it's like people could be like, oh, I could see that happening.
Yeah, but the thing was with him too is like people consider him the greatest player, but he hasn't really elevated his national team to prominence like other players have.
Are you basing that off international, the best player? Or are you basing that off club?
Club-wise, he's
holistically.
Club-wise, he's been surrounded by the best players in the world.
But they still can't get to Champions League final. Like
they've won a few. They've won a few, yeah.
But
recently,
like not for a few years now.
Like 3 years ago,
they made it against Juve. Right, 2015 or something like that. But it's
Berlin.
been a couple of years, so I think
2015. Is that
it was in England, wasn't it? It was
it was in Germany.
Germany, okay.
It was at the Olympiastadion von Berlin.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think you have to look at it holistically, and I agree that he is missing the international trophies, because aside from winning them as a U20 player when he was like 17 or whatever, I can't remember when he last won something for Argentina. Though he might have won something else, I can't remember. But he hasn't done it on the big stage with Argentina.
And that'll be another show for us. So we'll end it right there on sadness of Messi not winning anything for his country.
So tonight was the short show.
Yeah, it was short show. Where can everybody find you at?
For me, it's at Zachary AM and on Twitter, and I'm part of the Movement Curve Collective.
For me on Twitter, it's at _Gideon Hill.
And for me, it's at Whitecaps Beat. And obviously, you can follow AFTN at AFTN Canada. That's it for this week. What anything?
We have a shout out to
John
O'Flynn. For his North Van FC U13 boys team for winning the Provincial League Cup over Burnaby 4-1 today. And a wee shout out to Mountain United U17 boys who will travel to the Canada Club Championships in PEI. So congrats to them. And as well, if you're a TSS Rovers or fan or supporter or UBC follow, I have an article up on Zach Verhoeven, their midfielder, who also plays for Pacific. So make sure to check that out as well.
Oh, and his return to UBC and stuff like that, right?
Well,
I read that, yeah.
You'll yet to know, but yeah. So we'll see.
So anything we've learned today, Zach?
I learned that Gideon is a Chicharito fan.
That's excellent.
Something you won't know unless I come to the podcast. So
So I also want to give a shout out to Michael. Michael should be back next week. We're hoping. It was a pretty sad, news of the Bailey passing away. That's the reason why he hasn't been able to, because it was dealing with that up to that point. Very tough to deal with when you spend 15 years with somebody so close and everything, and so him and Caitlin are very appreciative of everybody sending their, well wishes to them and everything and condolences. So it's going to be tough next time I go to the house and not seeing Bailey there at the house.
We're going to miss Predictapooch.
Yeah, for sure. So that's another episode for There's Still Time. And so we'll say our final goodbyes here. In the meantime and in between time, that's another episode of the AFTN Soccer Show. Join us next week. Goodbye.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
More than a name, that's what we
et